And one of the artists that was successful for you to bring out to Seaside was Mac Dre.
Yes. So I met Dre in 99 on a flight coming back from Vegas. Me and my partners was coming back from Vegas, and he was on a flight with his daughter flying back. And it was a Southwest flight, so, you don't get to pick your seats. So he's like, man, is it cool if my daughter sit here? You know what I'm saying? Because they got on the plane late. So as we get a layover in L.A., we switch seats. I mean, he switches seats so he can sit by her and my partner moves. So we just get to talking all the way there. And at the time, there was a rumor that he had died. So we was just talking about that.
Right, this is like,
No, this is the first one. This was in 99. Because he was literally came back because he had gave me the cut. There's literally, the way the world works is crazy. So he had just started working on the first Cutthroat Committee album. So he had gave me some of the songs, and like they were incomplete and all of that. But what makes it so full circle is when they ended up doing the album, the actual logo, this logo was created by my partner in management, Will Bronson.
Oh, yeah.
So it's real funny how that shit kind of works out. So we were just talking, you know what I'm saying? We had a cool rapport. So when we got back, I was like, yeah, I want to bring you to a show. So I brought him to a show, brought him to another show. And he's kind of like the person that introduced me to a lot of people, from Quinn to Keek and all these people that I was bringing out there. So he's the one that kind of like, because he fucked with me and I fucked with him, and we did great business. Anytime we did something, everybody, it was always good. It was never no problems. There was never no issues. You know what I'm saying? At the time, Seaside had a bad reputation for, just shit happening at the shows. You know what I mean? Whether it was because we had like this fairgrounds, and they also had like the blues festival and the jazz festival there in Monterey, but you would come there and it would be a problem. Or at the Catalyst, because literally back then, like I said, it was 408 and 415. We would get mistaken from niggas from San Jose. So we would get into it with niggas from EPA, so we would, there would always be scuffles. Like we had a big brawl at the Ice Cube concert out there. So when people would come down there, sometimes there would be problems, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's anywhere you go. Niggas don't have nothing. Niggas don't act a fool. So every time I had an event, it was always cool. And not because I'm the hardest thing in the world, but I know everybody and there's a level of respect, but I know who's who and who's, you know what I'm saying? I can tell when there might be a problem, when there might be, as opposed to some dude that's just throwing a show. And you always make sure that you don't alienate anybody. Like, if this is your city, then I have to make sure people respect it as your city. Because that's all people want when you come from a small city like that. If it's respected, it's cool. But a lot of times people would come and act like they're bigger and better. And everybody always wants to show they're the baddest. You know what I'm saying? And who's usually going to win is the people at home. So we had built a good relationship and a good rapport. And he had kind of helped me introduce me to a lot of people. And then from there, we started working together, and that's where the Thizz Nation thing came about. And we just went from there, and he was on that basically kind of gave me my real start.
Cool. Yeah, man. So 99, 2000, this is a period where Mac Dre still kind of rebuilding what he had lost.
This is literally the beginning of Thizz.
Yeah.
He had started Thizz. When I met him, he was just starting Thizz.
Right.
So he had just finished, I think Rapper Gone Bad. He had just finished that. And no, I think it was Stupid Doo Doo Dumb. It was one of them.
I think Rapper Gone Bad came after Stupid Doo Doo Dumb.
Okay, yeah. So it was Rapper Gone Bad because he had just finished the first Cutthroat Committee album.
Right.
It wasn't even finished. He was still working at the time. He was recording in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
He was going back and forth in Kansas City to record it. So that's when we met. And then there was a studio that him and Kilo had in Soundwave in West Oakland. So then I came in, we fixed the studio up, we got it going, and we just started recording. And then the idea from Thizz Nation just came about because he was doing so much, but a lot of the stuff was getting kind of crossed. So it was like, I want to give an opportunity to help everybody, but I can't keep doing it where it's a situation where I take losses. So that's where the idea for Thizz Nation came, because it was supposed to just be a distribution company where we just distributed people. And the original shit that we did was all based out of my store. The phone number that was on the CDs was out of my store. We pressed up the original CDs out my store. The original T-shirts we pressed up at the store. So we was really going 100% independent was what the route. We wasn't trying to use nobody because we felt as if, like, if we're going to do this, we have to reclaim this and do this the right way. So
before that, I think he had been dropping on Romp Records.
Yes.
But Thizz, it also sounds like this is a plan to really make a real legitimate business entity out of it.
Yeah, well, with Romp Records, Decon, who was in charge of Romp Records, was sentenced to jail. So the person who ran Romp Records went to jail, and then the name just kind of become problematic. So that's when he had just started Thizz.
Got it. So that's a pretty pivotal role, man. I think there's a lot of independent labels and independent rappers who are working with limited resources, and it's hard for them to take this company and make it more than just a logo on the back of a CD, right?
Yeah.
So you're really helping get the business off the ground.
Yeah, but I think that's what it was. Dre was so creative, and he was just he was such a visionary in seeing how he wanted things to go, but he was a complex person. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shit going on, and there's a lot of things that, you know what I'm saying, he just needed help with, but didn't know what it was that he needed. Because especially back then, the game was, you know, make an album, sell it to a distributor, or sell the CDs yourself. It's a constant hustle. So, you know, he's doing that. He's doing well. But I think that it was kind of explaining to him, like, you could be doing great. Like, you know what I'm saying? As good as you're doing, you can be doing a lot better. Because he was one of the first artists that I seen, that was actually traveling, going to these places and making an impact. So, like, he'll go to Seattle, and he doesn't just go do a show. He'll go to Seattle, he'll be there for 3 days, 4 days, and you'll hear all these stories about, man, Mac Dre had dinner at my mom's house, or, you know what I'm saying? So everywhere he went, there was like these stories, and I'm seeing the relationship he had with his fans and how much they really fucked with him. And at the time, it was doing something new with the Thizz stuff, because designer drugs, people don't remember this, but niggas didn't do that shit, is how it looked like.
Yeah, it's like rave.
Yeah, like, man,
rave shit.
What is this nigga on? But what he was on was he had got out the feds. He had went back to the feds. People forget that, to finish his sentence.
Violation or something, right?
No, he wanted to finish his sentence because he's like, I don't want to get off. I don't want to be on this shit no more. So he did that, and when he got out, his reputation is already what it was, because he went to jail for just keeping it solid. You know what I'm saying? So he just wanted to live life to the fullest. And, you know, the more I got to know him and got to know his mom and his story, it made sense where just the way that he visioned things and the way that he's seen things in ways that I didn't see, I didn't understand, and I didn't know, because I was limited to my environment and was only doing what I was programmed to do, you know what I'm saying, where I was. I was so fit on survival. After he got out of prison, he was set on living. I was trying to survive, he was trying to live. So he taught me how to live, you know what I'm saying? He taught me how to look at things from a completely different perspective. And I think that, you know, we worked well together, because the job was to say, like, look, you do what you do, and in the back end, we're going to do what we do to make this go to where it needs to be. Unfortunately, he passed prior to, you know what I'm saying, living out those things, but it's, you know, his legacy is cemented, and just the inspiration that he's been to everybody is something that I don't think will ever be replaced.
Absolutely. Well, because I'm talking to you, like, I know so much about the Thizz movement on the creative level and the impact, right? I was one of those kids that was buying those records. I'm curious to know, what are those things on the back end that you're talking about that made it so successful?
I think the first thing that we did, so from Thizz inception, like when he first did that, it was the Thizz artist. When it was Thizz Entertainment, when he first did it, it was him, Little Bruce, Something Terrible, Ryder J. Clyde, and I think that's really it.
Doobie and Cutthroat Committee.
Doobie, exactly, Doobie. So in Cutthroat Committee. So when that was close-knit, that was more or less of what he was doing. But when he felt as if, like, there's so many other dope artists out there, and I want to make this something that's bigger than, you know what I'm saying, than just me, than this what I'm doing. So that's where the idea of Thizz Nation came from. So like I said, when we had the studio in West Oakland, it just became a hub for creativity where everybody came through. At the same time, this is when Nicotina was working on the DVD. So I remember when he came through and he showed what was the Pimp DVD he had?
The Gift.
The Gift. When he came and showed us The Gift, it was just a hub for just everybody to come through creatively. And there was just so much great music that came from there. You know what I'm saying? And it was a great time, because we're talking about 02 to 04 before he passed is when there's just a lot of creativity, and I think is when everything was kind of bubbling. And what we just set out to do was to try to build the infrastructure from what we thought the game was. There's a lot of things that I know that we got wrong because we didn't know, but there's a ton of things that we got right that we shaped the way that things are done, not only in the Bay Area, I think in independent music specifically. So the one thing that we always leaned into was technology. So we had like the Thizzworld.net forum, where, you know, we had moderators, and we actually, you know, contributed to the forum, and actually we learned that from Hyro.
I was going to say, because they had the first hip-hop artist website.
Exactly. So it was started by this. There's a dude named Brad Bittler. He was in the Navy. I'm never gonna forget it. In the Navy or the Marines, and he was this white kid who we had the name on the CDs. We were putting Thizz World on the CDs just because we were like, we got to put a website on it. We were trying to be early, you know what I'm saying? But we didn't have one. So he had built like this actual
server,
a server and this forum. So from that, you know, we made him a moderator. We became moderators. Anybody remember the back in the day? I was Wayne Howard, the Dope Fiend.
That was your username?
That was my because it was a dude that was from the Crest named Wayne Howard the Dolphin. I just thought the name was just was crazy. Anybody who was a Mac Dre fan that would have recognized the name, and if you didn't, it was just kind of funny. But we leaned in on things like that. Then when MySpace came out, we were heavy on MySpace, like making sure we're putting each other in the top 8, making sure the songs are aligned. If we're pushing a song and there's 10 artists on the label, all 10 artists have at least this song playing. You know what I'm saying? If this the album that we're pushing, this is going to be the cover that we're pushing. So we were just using, before we knew it, which was end up being social media marketing, the best that we could. Just like when YouTube came out, Fab's video for Ghostwriter was literally one of the first videos to go viral. Like, we used to go to the YouTube headquarters and, you know, he would perform for them. They would show us all this stuff. Like, we would always try to be just ahead of everything that was happening because we needed every advantage that we could, because we're not a major label. We don't have all this funding. But if we're early adapters and we're first, there's things we could do. Like, we put a real emphasis on just the artwork. Like, everything had to be done by Shemp, and it had to look a certain way. We started putting DVDs in it. Once we were doing the DVDs that were just a part of the CD. It's just an extra piece. We had to give you something to do it. We would do in-stores at all over the country. You know what I'm saying? We did it where it was an experience where the fans felt a part of it. And that was the whole point, because once he did Trill TV and we were able to see, like, wow, this is really, when we go places, people are reciting your lines. You know what I'm saying? Like, from the DVD, that's bigger than what we've seen from the actual music. We need to lean in on that and just, you know what I'm saying, do that. Just like when he was, like, his mind was different. When he released Genie of the Lamp and Ronald Reagan, he was on a promotional campaign like he was going for president. And he would dress up in the Ronald Reagan outfit and literally campaign at every place he did shows. And literally, he made it an event. And, you know, he was so far ahead of the game with that. And it was just, we just tried to make it look as big and as huge as possible and just make it as professional as we thought we could, you know what I'm saying, to compete with everybody else. Because if you come into the store, we wanted to make sure that if you've seen our CD next to whoever, you don't look at that as an independent. You're like, oh, damn, that cover's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, the end caps we would do. We just did a lot of different shit that I think that, you know, people forget we don't get credit for, but I also have to blame myself because I would always stay so far in the back. Kilo would always stay so far in the back that it wasn't about us, it was always about the artist. You know what I mean?
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.